What's going on, guys? Magdallan here with my second update for my Poisonous Concoction Sanctum League starter. We are just breaking into red maps. I'm running about a day behind. I had to go out of town and do some family stuff yesterday, and so today we'll be back farming. And I want to talk a little bit about the league, and then we'll talk about the character, how I've set that up, and how I feel about that. And then we will do a real quick map, and then we'll send you on your way. So in terms of the league itself, I find that the loot feels pretty good. I'm actually in a position where I'm considering making my loot filter stricter, and I don't think I was even using a loot filter at this stage in the league last time around. And so I don't have any interest in getting back into the discussion of how much did they nerf the loot, did they nerf it, so on and so forth. They have GGG has their opinion, the player base seems like they have theirs. Let's just move on from that. Experience wise, last league felt like nothing was dropping on the ground. This league feels much more normal, feels fine. I don't have any complaints. And as I said, it seems like as I scale into more optimized farming, that we are going to be in a situation where lots of stuff is dropping again. I'm going to need a loot filter that is stricter. That's kind of where I want it to be. And so I'm happy about that all around. In terms of the league mechanic, it does seem like the consensus is that the rewards are just on the edge of being okay, but not enticing enough that you need to be just smashing this at every possible moment. And then when you include that it's pretty obvious that it's balanced pretty poorly in terms of build diversity, I don't think it's a mechanic that I'm going to be smashing into right away. I did mess around with it a little bit more, and I think that if I had a lot more damage on this build, I think it could be pretty good for that content, but I was struggling, and as I said before, it really does feel like you're just always in a boss encounter. It's kind of a high-stress gameplay, and I think it's really cool. The systems are really deep, and if they bumped the rewards up and made it more enticing, then certainly I would want to engage with it more, but for now, I'm happy to more focus on the base game and getting my Atlas done and focusing on my map strategy and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at with the league. In terms of the character, I was lucky enough to drop a fractured 6-link here, and I hit it with a lightning resistance essence, and we got fairly lucky on the mods. And so I've just been using that, and it's working out pretty well. I will say the 6th link was less impactful than I would have anticipated. And so if you're in a position where you can only afford a 5-link, I wouldn't feel as bad about that as you might in a different build, in, a lightning strike build or a tornado shot or something like that. It feels significantly less impactful in this case. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe as the gem levels up more, it'll even out a little bit. But that's just my thoughts. It just seems like you would be fine to just run around on a 5-link. Then I'll just hover over some of the other gear here. All of this is mega cheap. We're talking 5C, 10C, something like that. I did go with an unset ring, and that made it a lot easier to work in an additional life tap so that I'm not running anything on mana. So as you can see, we only have 22 unreserved, and that gets pretty tight. Your flame dash, you can't spam it, so on and so forth. I did purchase this flask for about 80 or 90C, and I may have overpaid, I don't know. I just wanted to see how much more damage I would get, how it would feel as compared to running 2 flasks that look more like this one. And again, I feel like it was an upgrade. It was noticeable, but for the price and given how none of the other gear on the character is worth more than 5 or 10C, I would have expected a much bigger increase. And so, again, I would say if you're running 2 flasks that look more like this, you're probably fine. And then here's the other flasks that we're using. And then real quick, I'll show you the tree. Very stock. As I said, I've been following DS Lily's guide. Real quick note as well, I was wrong. In fact, her POB does have Flame Dash in it. I just didn't see it, so that's my bad. I had said in the last video that was a change I would make to the build. So nope, in fact, it's part of the build. I just failed to see it. One change, though, that I am going to make is I want to take Vampirism. The 12% damage taken recouped his life is amazing. It's huge. And I do feel a little bit squishy on the build, though, as you can see here, our spell suppression is not capped. Another problem that I have is I only have about 65% chance to poison. I'd like to increase that. And there's a couple more nodes on the tree that we can grab. There's a couple danglers in this area. I don't remember where they are, but you can get 10% more in a couple places. So I will probably grab that, but otherwise, pretty much just going along with DS Lily's POB for the most part. And yeah, I think the build is fairly enjoyable. I am to the point where I can clear a tier 16 with, you know, shitty mods, and we're going to be able to complete the Atlas just fine. Bossing has been just fine in terms of, you know, killing the Eldritch bosses as you're progressing those storylines and doing Maven invitations. I haven't had any issues with that. I haven't failed any content that I've tried to do so far, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be an issue until much later in progression. And so, yeah, I'll have more to say about the build in specific in the next video, but if you have any questions now, just leave them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can help you out. Now, let's go ahead and jump into a map, and I'll show you how the build runs so that if you're late to the league and you're thinking about starting the build, you can see what it looks like. Or if you just are also running the build and you want to see how it looks with my gear as opposed to yours or whatever. So let's jump into that. Okay, we're just going to do a tier 11 dry sea here, just some random mods on it. Get rid of that guy. I mean, we're just going to come through and knock stuff down. Harbinger here. Loot dropping. Pop out the Plague Bearer. We can finish this guy off here. And as you can see, I mean, there's plenty of stuff on the ground. Got saved by the life regain on kill there. Grab up some of this stuff here. Map sustain seems perfectly fine. No complaints there. And like I said, I enjoy the build. I definitely think Poisonous Concoction feels smoother than Bone Shatter did last week. But it's hard to compare because the base game is just so much better this time around. But in terms of, it's a little bit slower. You had really crazy attack speed, and so you were just, you know, leap slamming all over the place. So it's a little bit more methodical gameplay with this build. But I do think it's smoother all around than the Bone Shatter guy. But pop the Plague Bearer here again. I mean, as you can see, I mean, stuff goes down real easy. And the only thing we had any issue with were a rare or two with that Harbinger. We'll grab the Shrine here. Oh, we're just going to ignore that for now, for these purposes. Stupid box trying to blow me up. I don't know what's going on with that rare. I'm not going to mess with that. Ah, we'll go kill it. There we go. Oh, did he teleport away? There he goes. Here, let's see if we can find the boss. One thing that I don't like is trying to keep track of the Plague Bearer stacks. That's kind of a pain in the ass. Having to look at the top of the screen there. There's another method that people use to keep track of that. Let me know, but I would say that's my least favorite part of the build, is having to keep track of when to use Plague Bearer. Maybe there's something else I'm missing. But from my perspective, it does seem like you kind of have to just know when the stacks are full. And it seems like it takes, you know, three or four packs that you have to blow up before you're ready to use it again. Where is that ball? Oh, I see it. It's in the bottom corner there. Cruise over there, and we'll take that out. I'll show you what the boss damage looks like. Get rid of those guys. I'm going to put my totem down. Withering Step, and we're going to start pounding on him. Plague Bearer out. There we go. Alright, that's what the character looks like in a map. And I feel like this time around, I'm not spending a lot of time lamenting the state of loot or thinking about how rares are out of whack or any of the issues that were so prevalent last week. And so it seems like a lot of the changes that GGG have made are panning out pretty well. I took a look at the retention numbers or the player count numbers on the Steam chart, and it looks a lot better than it did last week. And so all of that is positive, and I hope that continues. And I will continue making these update videos at least through the first week or week and a half of the league. They're really nice to just kind of look back on so I can see what I was up to, and they tie things together nicely. And so I will be back with another one of those shortly. Again, if you have any questions, do leave them in the comments below. And if you found this content interesting, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I will see you in the next video. I appreciate you.